Hi students. Now we are going to start this session with the poem Dust of Snow, which was written by Robert Frost. Now this poem was originally published with the title Favor in the month of December in 1920. And later on it was published in the poet's famous collection of poems New Hampshire, and it won the Pulitzer Prize. Now, what is this Pulitzer Prize? This Pulitzer Prize is an award which is given for achievements in newspapers, magazines, online journalism, literature and musical compositions in US. Now, Robert Frost. We all know about Robert Frost. He is an American poet and he is one of the most renowned modern poet of nature and rural life. He is a poet who loves nature and he appreciates the beauty of nature in most of his poems. Now, he was born on 26th March 1874 in San Francisco, a Californian city, and he died on 29th January 1963 in Boston due to massive heart attack. And most of his works we all know is The Road Not Taken, which is very famous poem, and Mending Wall, Nothing Gold Can Stay, etc. And one of the notable thing is he has won Pulitzer Prize for most of his works, while no other poet has yet managed to supersede him. Now students, before we get into the explanation, let me tell you something. Now there are certain animals, things and objects that people associate with negativity and doom. For example, if a black cat suppose crosses our path, it is a bad sign. And an owl is also a bad sign of, it's a sign of bad luck. Okay, and black color is also considered inauspicious. Do we all agree to it? Yes. So now in this poem he describes, that is Robert Frost describes how superstitions and blind fate can mislead us. So here he has mentioned three major things which are considered to be signs of worst. The tree mentioned here, referred here, is the North American conifer, that is also known as hemlock. Now this hemlock is a poisonous tree with white flowers, and this hemlock was actually the poison which was given to our Greek philosopher Socrates. And since it is poisonous, it cannot be associated with anything positive. So it is considered to be a sign, it's considered to be dangerous for human life. Now the second thing is the crow, which is black in color and a scavenger, and is the ugliest of the birds, and so it's considered to be the sign of doom and trouble. And the third is the dust. Now as soon as we hear the word dust, we remember, we recollect the dead body, because the human body turns into dust. So it is also a symbol of evil, okay, bad luck or something like that. So now the poet, what does he do? He tells us he is trying to alter the mindset of the people through this poem. He tells us how inauspicious things can also bring joy and happiness in our life. Okay, and this poem has actually 2 stanzas, and each stanza has 4 lines. Though it's a very short lyrical poem, yet it has a deeper and larger meaning. Now, the setting of the poem is that it was a winter day and the poet was in an awful mood. We do not know the reason why he is very upset, but he is very upset and he just walks by a tree. The incident described in this poem is said to have probably taken place at the back of his house itself, that is Robert Frost's house itself. And so one thing before we start this poem, what we can recollect is The poem refers three things here. One is the tree, the hemlock tree. Second thing is the crow and the dust, which is considered to be sign of bad luck. Now, as I told you, the poet begins to tell about a winter day, and the snowflakes have covered all the treetops, and the speaker, that is the poet Robert Frost, is walking under one of these snow-covered trees as he is upset. Now let's start with the poem. The way a crow shook down on me the dust of snow from a hemlock tree. Now what happens? Suddenly a crow alights on the tree, and there is no specific reason about the bird's motion, whether the crow was landing or shivering with cold or readjusting itself on the branch or taking off. Whatever might be the action, as a result of the motion caused by the crow, what happened is the snowflakes on the tree falls down on the poet like a rain. Okay, so here again there is no specific mention in the poem whether it falls on his head, that is, whether it falls on the poet's head or shoulder. So the crow happened to send some particles of snow upon the poet. That is only mentioned here. And here the two agents of nature, what are they? Yes, the crow and the hemlock, which are signifiers of sadness and gloom, just like the poet's mood in the beginning of this poem. Since the snowflakes are very light and tiny, the poet thinks that they look like white and immaculate dust particles. So he mentions it as dust of snow. And as I told you all before, three things which we can see in this stanza is the crow, hemlock tree and the dust, which is considered to be inauspicious. So now let's look into the poetic devices which the poet uses in the first stanza of this poem. First of all, the rhyme scheme is AB. That is, the first line and the third line ends with the same rhyming word. Similarly, the second and the fourth line ends with a rhyming word. So the rhyme scheme is AB. The next device which the poet uses is metaphor. That is, the poet compares the white snowflakes atop the hemlock tree with this dust particle. Okay, and so it is considered to be a metaphor. Now next poetic device is symbolism. Now what do you mean by symbolism? As I told you all, hemlock and crow are symbols of evil here. So the device used here is symbolism. The fourth one is assonance. Now assonance means the prominence of a vowel sound throughout a line. It can even be in the middle of a word which is in the middle of that line. So this is called assonance. For example, in the second line you can see shook down on me, own, down, on, aw. So it's a vowel sound. We all know aw is a vowel sound. So that is called assonance. The fifth one is inversion. Now what is inversion? Now when the structure of the sentence is changed to create rhyme, this poetic license is called inversion, which can be seen in the first stanza. That is, what happens is, poets, what do? They change the structure of the sentence just to get it in a rhythmic sequence. Okay, so what do? They change the structure. So this changing of structure is called inversion. The sixth one is enjambment. Now what is enjambment? When the same sentence continues to the next line without the use of any punctuation marks like comma or full stop, or it can be a semicolon, it is called enjambment. Okay, and you can see this throughout the first stanza. Now the second stanza. has given my heart a change of mood. Now in the second stanza, what happens? Abruptly it is started, has given my heart. It's actually the action which has taken place in the first stanza has given my heart. My heart is Robert Frost's heart. A change of mood. That is, the speaker describes how the fallen snowflakes, what was the action which took place? The snowflakes fell down on him. So the fallen snowflakes has affected him. His mood has changed. That is, before the fall of the snowflakes, what happened? The poet is said to be in a despairing mood. But after the fall, he is glad. So what does the fall of snowflakes show? It shows a positive effect on the poet. He continues. What does he say? And save some part of a day I had rued. Rued here is to feel sorry, to regret. Okay. So, what does he do? He continues that the day was not going too well for him, but everything had changed. This. What did change? How did it change? There's a shift of mood from hopelessness and boredom to bliss and hope. That is, the poet had imagined that the whole day would have been a waste, but the shower of the snowflakes on him had changed his mood and mind. He realizes that the day was not a complete waste and that some part of the day has become delightful and had saved him from regretting, because he had got a very new experience after the fall of snowflake upon him. Now let's discuss about the poetic devices the poet uses in the second stanza of this poem. The rhyme scheme is CD. You all know that is the first line of the second stanza and the third line ends with the same rhyming word. Similarly, the second and the fourth line of the second stanza ends with the same rhyming word. The second device which the poet uses is sync-dock. This is something new. Now, what is this sync-dock? Sync-dock is actually something which represents, that is the part of something which represents the whole. Now, here the poet says that his heart has changed. Okay, that is, his heart has undergone a change of mood because of the shower of snowflakes on him. But it is not only the heart, not only his heart, but the entire person is experiencing, that is, the poet himself is experiencing a better mood and delight. And here the heart represents the entire person. Okay. So, and the third stanza is alliteration. Well, what do you mean by alliteration? Now, the occurrence of the same letter or sound at the beginning of or adjacent, the beginning of the adjacent word or closely connected word is called alliteration. Now, for example, here in the first line of the second stanza, we can see that has given my heart. Has, ha, h and heart, h, her. Okay, sounds the same and has the same, begins with the same letter. Similarly, and some, save some part, save, s and some, s. Again starts with the same letter, okay, and sounds the same. And the fourth one is enjambment. Again is used in this stanza also. As I told you all, what is enjambment? When the same sentence continues to the next line without any punctuation marks, it is called enjambment, and you can see this throughout the second stanza. Finally, we have come to this analysis part. Now, what we can analyze is, although there are only 8 lines in this poem, it is definitely a poem that provides a very clear picture of the landscape of New England, because it is very obvious to notice that winter conditions in New England are quite harsh. But at the same time, what happens is the snow and the fall of the snow make it look very beautiful. So, it can be concluded that life in winter is both it's both harsh and beautiful in New England. Okay, and when we see the irony in this poem, what happens? The crow, the dust and the hemlock tree represents bad omen. So what we all will think that something bad is going to take place. But actually what happens, it gives relief to the poet and his mood changes, which is a positive effect. So it is completely opposite to what we have all taught. So this is the irony in the poem. So finally we come to this central idea or theme. What is the central idea? Happiness can also be found in the darkest times, isn't it not? Now what happens is sometimes even the negative things can create kind of positive effect, that is which has happened in this poem. What are the negative things gathered together? That is the crow, the hemlock tree, the dust together gave a positive effect, changed the mood of the poet. So what he is trying to convey that nature has its own mysteries and living with nature is actually one of the beautiful experience that a human can have. So what we all must do, we all must accept the way with which the nature chooses to bless us. Okay. And in fact, the poet was also very thankful for having lived among the hills and snows of New England. So what is the message we get from this poem? Even very little things which are negative can bring a huge positive change in our future. We should not be vexed with certain negative things which happens in our life. Okay, we do not know, this negative change might bring a positive effect in our future. So this is what we all should follow, and this is the message we get from this poem. So hope you all enjoyed this poem, children. Thank you.